Hi, everyone. Hello. Greetings. I'm here from the great city of Philadelphia. I'm currently out. Had a bit of a crazy week, which is why I haven't gotten to you guys, but I wanted to get with y'all because bitch. So, a lot of people reached out to me about this Kevin McCarthy, ousting. And, it's one of those things, and for my long-term cabinet members, my people who have followed me for a while, we talked about Kevin McCarthy's being voted in as Speaker of the House earlier this year. Now, the thing is, if you go back and watch that video, a lot of the things that held up that vote, which went 15 rounds, a lot of the things that held up that vote ended up being the things that got him ousted out of the chair. It really almost feels like we just put a bookmark on a page that we were going to come back to anyway, and we were still going to have the same ending result, And for me, what we should all take from this is that you cannot be everything to everyone. It's a lesson I'm learning this week because I've been facing my own health challenges and things like that. But you cannot be everything to everyone. You just cannot. And Kevin McCarthy, for better or worse, learned that lesson this week. So if you've been under a rock or you've just been waiting for me, Kevin McCarthy got ousted as Speaker of the House. Now, the sad thing is, this is where sometimes you can bite your hand to spite your face, is he got ousted on a rule, whereas though now, it was a rule that's been in existence for a while. Like, it was in existence for like hundreds of years. So let's break this down, right? There was always this rule where, if you didn't feel someone was, up to par or up to speed to be the Speaker of the House, or you didn't like the way that things were going, or you think they needed to be removed, you could call for that. And it only took one person to do it, and then you would call a vote. Well, Nancy Pelosi, who we all know and love, actually had that rule changed. Okay? She had that rule changed where it had to be something like, it had to be a decent majority of the majority in the House to bring that vote, and then you will vote on it, something like that. Republicans, being Republicans, changed the rule back to where as though you only need one person. So let's look at this. It's like 400 and some seats in Congress, in the House of Representatives, right? And those 400 and some seats, the way that Nancy had the rules set up initially, after she changed it, was you had to have, it couldn't just be, long story short, it couldn't be just one unhappy person or one hater that say, oh, bitch, I'm coming for your job, and then now we all sitting here doing a vote over one person, okay? Now, with this, when the Republicans changed it, it only took one person. One person called the vote, and then once that person calls the vote, the whole House, the House of Representatives, votes on whether we're going to keep that person as Speaker or not. Well, here we are. So, let's get this started because, bitch, I did research. Now, what happened was, Speaker, this is how the shit all went down, right? So Matt Gaetz, who we're going to get to in a moment, bitch, and if you revisit them old videos, you're going to gag because you're going to put the story together. So Matt Gaetz, who is a representative from Florida, he's a Republican, is the person who basically filed the motion for him to be voted. So this comes from Vox. Matt Gaetz led the charge to strip McCarthy of the speakership after he cut a deal with Democrats to fund the government for another 45 days. just before it would have otherwise shut down at the hands of right-wing rebels in the caucus. Gaetz brought a motion to vacate on a House floor Monday night, a procedural move that had never before been successfully used to oust the speaker. So even though this rule has existed for hundreds of years, it's been changed, brought back, nobody ever successfully, was able to do this shit. First off, so Matt Gaetz is the one on Monday who did the proposal to vote to remove McCarthy as the speaker. Now the thing is with that, this small faction was able to do something. It is historic because they were able to do something that really had never been done, which is a gagger, bitch. Now, although McCarthy, most of the Republican Party is behind McCarthy. There's only 8 people that really weren't, with it in the Republican Party. So he needed a majority of the House vote. So when we say the House vote, so let's think about this, right? So the majority of the Republicans are behind McCarthy. These 8 people are not behind McCarthy. However, in order for McCarthy to be removed as the House Speaker, you have to have the majority of the whole House has to vote. So that includes the Republican side and the Democratic side. The plot thickens, bitch. Now, although McCarthy had most of his caucus behind him, he needed a majority of the House to vote against his removal to stay in power. At the moment, the GOP has a 4-vote majority, and on Tuesday, a total of 8 Republicans joined all present Democrats in voting to dispose McCarthy. 5 of them, Representatives Andy Biggs from Arizona, Kim Buck from Colorado, Eli Crane from Arizona, Bob Good from Virginia, and Matt Rosendale from Montana, are members of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus. So no shade, those are the people who kind of low-key support the Proud Boys and all those people, right? So what happened was they filed, bam. Now the thing is, here's the thing, right? The whole reason that the reason behind Matt Gaetz filing the motion to the public, right? Like the political answer is because they felt like McCarthy was being too lenient with the Democrats, trying to make too many deals. He wasn't really looking out for their best interests. They felt like he was caving. That is the political answer, okay? That's the political answer to this. I'm going to drink some coconut water because, bitch, this gets busy. That was the political answer. The real answer, bitch, as to why he filed this motion was because Matt Gaetz was under investigation for having a relationship with a 17-year-old girl, bitch. Now, mind you, Matt Gaetz is in his 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Matt Gaetz is in his 30s, and he was under investigation in regards to the his relationship with the 17-year-old girl. Now, he's saying this because McCarthy, caved and all of this stuff, but everybody behind the scenes knows that really wasn't the case in regards to that whole piece. So he was under investigation with that. He got mad at McCarthy because it was actually 2 investigations. He got mad with McCarthy because McCarthy allowed the investigation that's going on now to continue to move forward. So they're still looking into this situation with Matt Gaetz and this underage girl. He's using the whole government shutdown, the government funding deal as the excuse, but that's really not the excuse. Now, in the midst of him doing that, he was able to get 7 other dum-dums who think that it was just such a great idea to send the country into chaos and anarchy by not having a house with an actual speaker, which we'll get to that in a few, okay? Now, when we look at this, we look at the votes, right? So you had most of the Republicans outside of the 8 in the House that voted to have McCarthy removed voted for McCarthy to keep his job. So that brings us to the point of the whole House votes. We have Democrats on the other side, right? Why didn't the Democrats, some of them vote for McCarthy? And this is where it gets interesting, and this is where not wanting to make a deal, not wanting to work together, not wanting to reach across the aisle in a meaningful way comes back to haunt you. So, why didn't the Democrats save McCarthy? Let's look at that, right? Now, it's unclear whether McCarthy engaged in any serious effort to make a deal with Democrats to keep his job. Jake Sherman of Punchbowl News reported that McCarthy called House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries from New York. So, House Minority Leader, I'm sorry. So Hakeem Jeffries is basically the Kevin McCarthy of the Democrats, right? He took Nancy Pelosi's position because, Nancy was the Democratic leader, and then she stepped down, and now Hakeem Jeffries has that spot. So, boom. McCarthy calls Hakeem Jeffries the night before, okay, and told him that he wasn't open to making any concessions to save himself. After his ouster, though, McCarthy told the GOP conference that the Democrats came to him trying to make a deal, but that he didn't want to do it. Democrats had a lot of say over what happened to McCarthy. His narrow majority meant he'd been able to keep his job if even just a handful of Democrats decided to back him in the end, though none did. The party voted instead to kick him out, providing 208 of the 216 votes for his ouster. Okay? So all of the Democrats voted for him, and then you had the 8 Republicans, which took the vote to 216 to get his ass up out there. This idiot, now first of all, why the fuck you even calling me? This is like, if this was me on the phone, I'd be like, boop. Hi, Kevin, what's going on? Yeah, man, we doing the vote tomorrow. Okay, Kevin, why'd you on my phone? What we doing with this? Well, I really can't make no... All right, Kevin, bye. Click up. That's what it gave for me. You in a position where you're going to... But here's the thing. This is how insane this far right, this right wing has gotten. Motherfuckers is willing to die on their sword for 8 idiots when all he had to do was call over. And when you say make a deal, here's the thing. You're making a deal to keep your job, but also, too, to the rest of the country, that kind of shows bipartisanship. Aren't y'all supposed to be working together? Instead, y'all are not doing the people's business, because now y'all got to hold another vote, which already took up enough time earlier this year with the 15 rounds in that whole circus. And so y'all just working together. So now we got to sit through a whole nother vote of this. It's ridiculous. So he calls Hakeem. Hakeem is like, okay, what we gonna do? Let's do this. Let's make a deal. Let's do something. And you basically called to say what? Okay. So we get into that whole piece. So now he's sitting there looking like a dummy. And the whole reason this is the thing. They do the budget deal, okay? So, the government has to get funded. They have to come up with the budget, that whole spill. The Republicans actually presented the Democrats with a deal. They hammered out a deal. The Republicans agreed to the deal. Everybody agreed to this deal. McCarthy's like, okay, we got a deal. Republicans, okay, we with this deal, let's do it. Then you have the Matt Gaetzes, the Nancy Mays, all of these people out of those 8 that say, well, that deal doesn't work for me. After you've already agreed to the deal. We already had the deal. So all of this is why we came to this situation where we had to go back and do another deal. It's incredibly confusing, and it sounds like a Game of Thrones, and it sounds like a waste of people's time, quite frankly. A waste of people's time. So my thing is this. If you were going to go through all of this, and it sounds like Matt Gaetz was going to file this motion anyway, why waste time even doing the deal? If y'all know y'all didn't like the deal and y'all were going to do this anyway, because I'm sorry, something like this seems premeditated to me. This isn't something that y'all just, somebody woke up and pissed you off and now we done. Like, you were going to do this anyway. Then another piece to this puzzle is the Republicans do not want us sending funding over to Ukraine. They want to stop that funding to Ukraine. And, you know, their word on that and why they want to stop the funding is because, you know, we have people at home, which we do. We have, you know, people at home who need assistance and things like that. And we have a lot of things that we need to take care of. We don't need to be, you know, giving more funds to Ukraine. And I receive all of that. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But also, too, there's a national security part that comes into play. And this is where a lot of these people show their inexperience in national and global government. You know, when you have to look at the global stage, we're not just looking at Ukraine as, oh, we helping this country in a war. We're kind of helping them prevent a bigger war that will cost us more money, because, you know, we're going to pay for it. That's going to cost us more money and ultimately more American lives fighting Vladimir Putin and this regime. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of this is to kind of offset us having to go to a real war, which a lot of these people just do not understand. Or they understand it and they just don't want to understand it. Okay? So you have all of that going on. And that's part of the reason why they didn't like the New Deal. And these are all excuses. We know that they're all full of shit, you know, and that whole piece. But that's where we are. Now, the kicker is, now there's no speaker. No official speaker anyway. So what we have to do is we have to now have an interim speaker. We have an interim speaker. How does this interim speaker work? The House, as it states, cannot function as normal without a speaker. Representative Patrick McHenry from North Carolina, he's a guy that looks like a Poindexter, wears the fucking bow ties and shit, was appointed interim speaker as Republicans work to figure out who will lead their caucus and the House from here. But he can't bring legislation to the House floor as Speaker pro tempore. So he's what's called Speaker pro tempore. So yeah, he's technically the House has a speaker. He's an interim speaker. But long story short, he really can't do shit. You know, he's just kind of there. And that basically means it'll take them having to vote in a new speaker for legislation to happen. Okay? Now, initially, when Kevin McCarthy ran, you know, we did the 15 rounds. It took 4 days. He had to make a lot of concessions. And all of that, once again, came back to bite him in the ass. Once again, you can't be everything to everybody. And that's a lesson that he has had to learn big time. So we got this interim speaker. Now, you may say, DDM, who the hell is Patrick McHenry, bitch? Okay? Who the hell is Patrick McHenry? So, he is a 10-term congressman. 10 terms. So he done been in Congress for 10 terms, bitch, 10 times. He done won 10 times. Which is problematic in itself. Okay? He's a former member of the House GOP leadership who chose to step away from the role after Republicans lost the House in 2018. He's the chair of the House Committee on Financial Services. He gained a little more prominence during the recent negotiations over the debt limit, averting the government shutdown as the person Kevin McCarthy tapped to work with the White House on that. He's a classic fiscal conservative, proudly declaring in his House biography that he has never voted for a tax increase in his career, and now he is the Speaker pro tempore. Okay. Also, too, he was handpicked by McCarthy, catch this T, to lead in the event that the Speaker's seat was left vacant. Every Speaker, when taking office, creates a list of succession that is shared with the clerk of the House. McCarthy knew it was very possible that he could be removed this way thanks to a change in the House rules to allow a motion to vacate, the mechanism to oust the Speaker to be introduced. McHenry isn't new to leadership. Apart from being House Financial Services Chair, he served as ranking member of the committee before the GOP majority in the 118th Congress. Before that, he was a member of the Republican leadership as Chief Deputy Whip. Okay, so this person, Mr. McHenry was handpicked by Kevin McCarthy to take over this seat and to do this job. So Kevin McCarthy, even with him being ousted, he still kind of put things in place or people in place to kind of still carry out his way of thinking, his agenda, even though we know now that the Speaker pro tempore really can't do shit. He can't introduce legislation, so he's like a lame duck. So now we have to do this vote. Now, the next question we got to ask ourselves is, who is going to run for the Speaker of the House in the Republican Party? We had some names come up like Steve Scalise, Kevin Hearn, Tom Cole, but also, too, Jim Jordan. Now, a lot of us know Jim Jordan, for better or worse. Jim Jordan is on the Judiciary Committee. He's the Judiciary Committee chair. He's basically nasty. He's a shit starter. He's the one who decided to put himself in the nose of the Trump case going on down in Atlanta, and Fonnie Willis had to kindly remind him that, bitch, you did not even pass the bar exam, so don't come for me talking about what the rule of law is, bitch. Call me when you can actually pass the bar exam. So you have him running and trying to do this whole speakership thing. And we're going to see where that goes. I think it says a lot when Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise are your front runners. Especially you're willing to vote in a man. They were even at one time voting, willing to vote in Donald Trump, which I thought was insane. Okay, until there's actually a law that prevents him from doing it. So even if they tried it, they couldn't. He's indicted now, so he could never be the Speaker of the House. But you don't have to be of the House to be the Speaker. And they were like floating that. Like, these people are like nuts. But that's where we're at. Okay, that's how we got to this whole shit show. And honestly, if I am a member of the Republican Party, not even in government, but just, I would be disgusted right now. Because you're not getting anything done. And we're coming up on an election year. Moves and stunts like this, you can lose the House over foolishness. But when people like Matt Gaetz do things for their own selfish motives, this is what you get. Okay? But that's where we're at. As always, it's fun to sit and talk with you guys. I'm going to be in Philadelphia relaxing for a few days. If you want to follow the channel, follow us, of course, Secretary Shade on social media at Dapper Dan Midas. I will see you guys soon. We'll get ready to relaunch. I got the sponsor locked in. We're good to go. And I'll be talking to you later. Bye.